Retro Hangovers, supported via Patreon by listeners like you. We'd especially like to thank patrons Lyle McCarnes, Ashton Ruby, Randall Quiggle, Tony G, Studstill Smash the Milkman, Raging Demon, Katie Quigg, JC, Megan Caruso, Mast Keaton, Andrew LaGuarri, Ozzy Garcia, The Retro Vixen, Adam from The Good, the Bad, the Backlog, Lunchbox, aka The Disgruntled Gamer, Diskai Mara, Jenny E, Rick Firestone, Parallax Puddles, Soha, Dave Jackson, Matt, aka Stormageddon, Retro Overdrive, Van Fernal, Keith Gasper, Eric Guess, Nomad from the Retro Wildlands podcast, Ash Event, Alan Bingham, Storm Beagle, Ryan Player 1, Mike the Ref from Backbreaker Gaming, B. Ross from Super Garbage Day, Darth Emick, Low5 Alex, and Alt. Your continued engagement and generous donations are deeply appreciated. Welcome to The Flight, a consumable curation of champions and catastrophes that is considerate of your chronometer. It is I, Chris Copleen, giving that efficient collaboration of alliteration for your eardrums, and I am joined, as always, by your smarmy, 80s styled, jacked, pumped, muscly, dude bra, dick dragon, Shane Koski. Shane, how are you doing on this fantastic day?
Well, Chris, I am here to pump you up.
I'm not even going to try to do that accent. That was brilliant. I just got to say, that was amazing.
Oh, thank you. I honestly didn't know how that was going to come out. It could have been awful, but you know what? I'll take it.
I don't know if it's actually good or not. I just wanted to compliment you. I'm just trying to be a bro.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome. I thought it was great, though. But today we're going to be talking about 80s movies that should have gotten a game. And this topic was nominated by none other than Ozzy Garcia, who is also our review crew master. Review master, pit boss. Slave driver. I don't know. He just whips up everyone into good order and makes sure that they behave while they nominate and play games. So that is our Ozzy Garcia. He is a great member of our community, and we thank him for his efforts that he does do over on our Discord, which you can also participate in if you go to our Discord, which is free, and we have games of the month and stuff like that. But I have been delaying too long. Any thoughts about 80s movies before we kick this off, Shane?
Yes, it is arguably one of, if not the best decades for film, period. I will accept no questions.
Better than the early 2000s?
Well, I said one of.
That's true.
Yeah, but it's definitely right up there. I don't know. If I had to come up with a list, because that's what we're doing here, it may be my number one. Honestly, there was a lot of good cinema in the 80s. But yeah,
that's a good segue. If you want to hear our top decades of film, just head on over to our Discord and go to our top 5 suggestions, which you can only access by being a patron for $8 a month. And you can make that suggestion over there in our Discord, and you can vote on that topic when it appears on our Patreon poll. See what I did there, Shane?
I did.
Shameless self-promotion. Gotta get the plug.
Absolutely. Yeah. And much like a lot of finance bros in the 80s, they were searching for that plug too. And so let's go ahead and start our lists off. And Chris, would you like to kick this thing into overdrive?
Number 5.
So my number 5, and I feel like I should follow up. I think like kick that in overdrive. I think there's a reference there. I don't know. And you also said list off. Very good podcast. Hi, Ryan and Brian. But my number 5 is going to be Flash Gordon, because that movie is weird as fuck. Is that movie in the 80s or 70s? I don't care. I think it's in the 80s. I didn't look up what year it came out in, but I just want to say Flash Gordon should have a video game. I hope it doesn't have a video game. I didn't look to see if it had a video game. I'm pretty sure it doesn't. Flash Gordon is a nutty ass movie that has tons of sexy people doing with a insanely weird cinematography. And I figure if we have a game like that, it could kind of be like the heavy metal uh comic books movies, and just have that cinematography as well. Oh my god. I think it would be just absolutely batshit insane. It could be like El Shaddai, if anyone's played that. That's what I think of when I think of a Flash Gordon game. And I think it would be the tits.
So would this be the correct time for me to tell you that there was a ZX Spectrum and Commodore 64 Flash Gordon game in 1986?
Those aren't real systems because only Europeans played them.
Okay, you know what? That's fair. I'll take that.
And I didn't know. And I mean, who cares about the ZX Spectrum? That system's shit. Fuck that.
Didn't expect to get spicy video game takes in this episode. There you go. All right. Well, my first one on the list is something that when I came across it, I was like, oh yeah, I definitely have to include this. Not only because I think it would make for a great video game, but also because this, in my mind, would replace another game that disappointed me greatly. So there you go. Night of the Comet. So if you're not familiar with Night of the Comet, which I'm sure most people probably aren't, it is a zombie flick from the 80s, of course. But it's more of like on the humorous sort of side of the spectrum. And the general premise is you have a couple of these very stereotypical valley girls who are attempting to survive this zombie apocalypse that is occurring due to a comet's radiation, while also still trying to go to the mall and shop. So, in my mind, this would be a fantastic replacement. Yes, I said replacement for Dead Rising. Fuck that game. I can't wait until we talk about it because I'm just going to shit on it. But to me, this would be fantastic. I think the campiness of it, coupled with, the zombie horde kind of deal, like I really feel like, and you could set even if you wanted to, you could set the entire thing inside of like a giant 80s mall, and I think it would be just fine. You could expand it outward if you wanted to and include like part of the surrounding town and what have you. But even if you were to keep it a little bit more focused and just have them like literally navigating a mall, trying to shop and being like semi-oblivious almost to the fact that there are just zombies everywhere, I think it'd be brilliant. So I would love to see a video game adaptation of this film.
Number 4.
Okay, my number 4, I'm actually shocked there hasn't been a licensed game based off this. There's been a lot of games that have tried to recreate it, and maybe this is a little bit low. I might need to have this a little bit higher, but I'm just gonna say my number 4 is Bloodsport, because this seems obvious. This seems like I understand that like Pit Fighter was supposed to be a take on Bloodsport, and then Mortal Kombat was supposed to have Jean-Claude Van Damme, who was in Bloodsport.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like there's a lot of games that fill that void, but you need Bloodsport. I want Jean-Claude Van Damme, officially, not you Street Fighter, in a video game where you beat people to death. I think that would be fun, and it needs to be cheesy, and it needs to be over the top. I need that. I need that in my life, and I think a lot of other people do too. So my number 4 is Bloodsport.
Yeah, I'm actually very surprised that there wasn't a video game adaptation of that.
Yeah, like it's been long enough. I think that could happen, and I think Jean-Claude Van Damme would want the money.
that's probably true. It's kind of a cheap shot, but I guess valid. Well, all right. Kind of along the same lines, actually. My number 4 is Roadhouse.
Oh, nice.
I cannot believe there was not an official licensed Roadhouse game. Apparently there almost was, and it got canceled, which is kind of a shame, or maybe not, depending on how it would have turned out. But this seems like such an easy win, right? Like at bare minimum, it could have just been a decent like side-scrolling beat 'em up, right? Like I feel like you could have pulled that off. Although And unfortunately, I can't give credit where it's due because I do not recall where I read this, but credit to random person who wrote a blog on the internet. But they brought up the fact that you could go like even further with that, right? And go into almost like a business management sim slash beat 'em up, because you could be like managing said roadhouse, like while also, making sure that you're fending off all the thugs. So I feel like that blend could actually work pretty well.
So Yakuza.
I mean, sure. Yeah. Why not?
I think that could work. You can make Roadhouse in the style of the Yakuza series.
I will take your word for it because I have never played those.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Someone get on that. If you can get the license. If anyone cares anymore.
Number 3.
Okay, my number 3 is also, I think all these games, I'm kind of shocked there wasn't an official licensed game. One has an exception, but it's I don't consider it like a real license. I'll get to that later. But my number 3 is Red Dawn. How is there not a Red Dawn video game? Like with all the Call of Duties, with all of the Hooyah America war games that we have that have saturated the market over the previous couple of decades, have we not gotten a Red Dawn game? They came out with a remake of the movie in the hyper video game era. This is ripe. This is ripe for a video game. I think they could do this right. I think this could work. I don't think it's too sensitive. Look at some of the shit we've done with video games. It's perfectly fine. If this is an acceptable movie, it can be an acceptable video game. Red Dawn, it just works. Do it. Red Dawn. What's the name? Something Riders? I don't know. But do it. Yeah. Red Dawn.
What? Sunset Riders? No, that's not it.
No, not Sunset Riders. I don't know. I haven't seen the movie in ages, if I've even seen it. Now I think about it. But Red Dawn, great idea.
There you go. All right. So my number 3, I mean, I guess we keep saying this, but especially now, I don't think it would have worked as well back when this would have been contemporaneous, but I think now someone could definitely do this. And I've seen some fan projects that have attempted this, but I would really love an actual legit licensed game of The Shining. Can you imagine like a really well done, like PT style, like horror game set in The Shining, like at the Overlook Hotel? That'd be fantastic. I would love to see that. And I am really, really genuinely surprised that nobody's attempted it. And what's funny is I had a hard time like confirming that a game had not already been made, because if you do a Google search on Shining video game, I mean, first of all, you get a lot of results for like Shining Force, but you see, I've seen some like NES carts and like some verbiage around like a Super Nintendo game, and like I'm pretty sure none of those actually exist to my knowledge. So I'm fairly certain that no one's tried this, but having like a modern day take on this, like I said, in like a either first person or a third person style. I think first person would probably work better for immersion, but doing that like a PT style game, I really think that could work really well.
Number 2.
Another good pick. I'm going to go with something that technically has a licensed game recently. I won't count it though, because it does not look like what it was in the 80s, because I want a cheesy game. I want Arnold. I want it all. And you could say that we got it with Rastan or a bunch of other games that were very similar in the game, like Golden Axe. No, I want it. I want it the right way. I want Conan the fucking Barbarian. It better be as cheesy and better be good quality. And I understand Conan Exiles came out. I'm ignoring that. I'm entirely ignoring that.
And Age of Conan, the entire MMO, that too.
I don't know. No, that's not really Conan. Shut up. No.
Oh, okay.
No. I should have said the never ending story is what I'm saying right here.
Oh,
because
okay.
I think that
there was also a game for that too.
I see everything in the 80s got a fucking game.
I wanted to put the Neverending Story on my list actually, and then I looked it up, and evidently there was in fact a game. So,
Ferris Bueller's Day Off. I don't think that had a fucking game. I don't know.
Hey, there you go.
But look, yeah, I don't want to do that. That's dumb. But Conan the Barbarian, I want it like in the style that it was. Is that an MMO? No. I'm not counting anything you said, Shane. Doesn't count. I want Conan the Barbarian. It should have gotten a Super Nintendo game. It should have gotten an NES game. It should have gotten an early PlayStation game. I don't care if they would have been terrible. It needed to happen because there were so many games that were made based off of that if they just took that license, they made a game off of it, they could have made something special, but everything else just really feels like a knockoff in the meantime. So Conan the Barbarian is my number 2. I'm ignoring what you said, Shane. I don't believe you. I think they're travesties and smites against the world. Blights, not smites, blights against the world and need to go away. Conan's my number 2.
I mean, it's your list. You know, you can do what you want with it. That's fine.
I know I can. I don't care. Come at me.
Alrighty.
16 candles.
Oh, yeah. I don't how would that even work? I mean, in the sake of fairness, I did toy with the idea of putting the Breakfast Club on my list. Just be like a stealth escape game or something.
Right.
But my number 2, speaking of escapes, is Escape from New York. What the actual
Good
fuck?
choice.
How is this not a game? Like, how? Like, I know Big Trouble in Little China got a game, which I don't think was great. Go figure. But Escape from New York would be perfect. It basically, in my mind, I'm thinking like an Arkham City style game. There you go. Done. You're welcome. Like, seriously, New York as a prison city, and you're trying to get in there and then escape. Like, it's perfect. Your setup is right there in front of you. How has this not been done yet? Get Snake Plissken back in action.
Solid Snake.
No,
Gear.
doesn't count. I'm rejecting what you say, Chris.
Number 1.
Okay, my number 1 also has Arnold, and I had to include this. One of the few Arnold movies I don't think has an official game. It has a game that is very much based off of it, and that game is called Smash TV. My number 1 is The Running Man.
Ooh, that's a good pick.
I think the Running Man would make a fantastic video game. You more tailor it to the movie. You make it more the game show, especially with modern graphics. I know like Smash TV is that over the top dystopian fun kind of thing, but I think with the modern technology, you could combine that with the high stakes kind of environment. So I think the Running Man would still make a fantastic game. I do think Smash TV represents the concept very well, but I think it could be evolved, especially in the modern era. So that's my number 1 pick.
That is a solid pick. I thought you were going to say Commando because I had that on my list like right up until time of recording, and I swapped some things around.
Commando's a good one because the game that came out called Commando is not based off Commando. It's just an homage to Commando.
That's right. It is. But as I said, I did not pick Commando. No. My number 1 is They Live with Rowdy Roddy Piper.
I had that on my list too early. Oh, good pick.
Oh, dude. Okay. Now, I'm not one to necessarily advocate for open world games because I think at this point it's been done to death, but just stick with me for a second here. Think of the world of They Live where you're playing as Roddy's character. You have the glasses, and you just have this. And when I say open world, I would still want it to be like a pretty focused area. Like, I don't want this giant sprawling map. That's unnecessary. But I want like a decent chunk of like a cityscape where you could just explore and like find, like little side things to do or what have you, while following the sort of main through line of the whole plot of They Live being that these, creatures have been living among us and nobody knew until he found these like magical glasses or whatever. But man, that would be so fun. That would be such a great premise for a game, and I feel like it fits so well. It basically writes itself. I'm really, really surprised that nobody's done this. And when I was looking this up, I believe I saw some articles stating that there was some sort of push to like tried to get a They Live game made, and I'm not sure where that's at, or if that's dead in the water, or if it was a pipe dream. I'm not sure, but I just that would be I would totally buy that. That would be great.
I would think that would be a fantastic game. It's interesting to see the games that don't have movies, because it feels like the movies that don't have games. Because it feels like every single time I would look up an 80s movie, no matter how obscure, it had some video game.
Yeah.
Somewhere. It's so like this topic is shocking because you like even Alf has a game.
True.
Fucking Alf. I miss Alf. Small Wonder, does that have a video game? That's not a movie, but
I don't know. Probably.
like, oh no, Step Bro, the video game. I mean, nothing inappropriate. It's like
Right,
he's
yeah.
doing bad things.
Just stuck in the dryer.
Gotta fix it.
Better call the handyman. Okay, anyway, we're starting to cross subgenres now. Well, at any rate, there you go. There are our top 5 80s films that definitely deserved a video game and somehow still have not gotten one. So, game developers, please get on that sooner rather than later, preferably. I need more things to add to my burgeoning Steam backlog that will slowly overtake everything.
And ignore the ones that were made that we did not discuss here.
Yes, definitely.
Yes.
Never happened.
Yeah. Never.
And as Chris mentioned, if you would like to offer some options for topics for these flight episodes, you can do that by becoming a patron of the show. And it's very simple to do, and also not terribly expensive. You can get in on the ground floor of this here establishment. Get in while it's hot for as little as $1. So you might say that you'd buy that for $1. I can't remember if the first RoboCop was 80s or 90s. I'm pretty sure it was 80s. So
80s.
Okay,
80s.
Good. My reference was
Plenty
on
of
point
video
then.
games about that, by the way.
Yes, plenty. Actually, there was a fairly recent one too.
Yeah.
But at any rate, you can also buy that for $1 by heading over to our link tree. So just head to linktr.ee/retro hangover. You will find our Patreon there, as well as the merch store and our socials, our YouTube channel where we post VODs from our Twitch streams, as well as video versions of all of these episodes that we do. And Chris, there's some things that the people probably ought to know about before we get out of here. So would you be so kind as to inform them about what they might be missing out on?
So first of all, we already talked about our Patreon, and if you are a patron at any level over there, that includes the $1 level, we do have the King of Games that continues to go on. It will go on until May over on our Patreon for everybody. That is a patron. And then in May, it will be released to the public. But if you want early access, you gotta be a patron. And be over there, chat in our Discord, talk about our incredibly wise and magnanimous decisions that no one will disagree with. I'm sure they are the best decisions, but you got to be in the Patreon, you got to be in the Discord in order to tell us how amazing those decisions are. So please go over there and do that. If you want, of course, or you can just wait until May. Additionally, you can go to twitch.tv/retro hangover and hang out with us at Sunday nights at 9 p.m. Eastern time. That is, just a place where we all hang out and have a good time. We are too lazy to monetize it too. So it's free to everybody. There's no ads, and you can come out and hang out with us, because that's what we like to do on Sundays at 9 p.m. Just because we like to. And I'm sure that if you have nothing better to do, you can hang out with us at twitch.tv/retro hangover, and we look forward to seeing you there.
All right. Well, I suppose with all of that having now been said, until next time,
Play with your hasta la vista, baby, joysticks.